Get your cocktails about the game script. A huge victory. We get on these streams and we put our heads together. That's an interesting way to start this thing off here today. I saw a little darkened browser on my side, but we're here. You guys found it. It's Friday. Where else would you rather be? It's last call, and I'm excited. It's my guy. LJ's going to jump on the screen here tonight and kick this NBA right in the face with us. So I'm excited about the card. A lot of fun coming up here. You guys know the situation. We'll let everybody pile in here. Get ready to kick this thing off. We're going to break it down. We've got, kind of a smaller look on the other spots of the card here, but a huge NBA card for Friday night. So it should be a lot of fun. I've got a few looks myself, and we know our guy's going to come in here and make it happen for us. So I'm excited to bring him in. I can't wait. He said he was willing to get on board with this thing, and it threw a smile on my face. So I'm excited to get there. But you guys know the deal here. First, we recap. Then we're going to jump in the agenda today. We're going to go through college football, college basketball, the NHL, and then we're going to have meat on the bone to cover this NBA component here later on this afternoon. So lots of time to get this thing going today. Lots of time to focus in on the big spot here and the play-in tournament or the in-play tournament. So pretty cool the way to see things shaping up here. I know there was intermittent, buy-in early, if you will, but it seems like the players are coming around, the fans are coming around, and now that everyone kind of understands what it is and how it works, or at least a little bit more, we're starting to see some opportunities that might illuminate themselves on the card tonight. So looking forward to talking about all of that with you guys here. Appreciate you guys that did jump in early as well. There's our guy, Ricky Levine, says, Pimp Slap Mikey, what's cracking, man? What's cooking, dude? Let's go. North Ender, Mikey Magnificent, Johnny Gilly. There's my guy, Johnny G. Let's get it tonight, Johnny G. Let's go, my guy. And there's Loopy U2. What up, Sancho? Anybody like the Jazz or the Pelicans? We'll talk about those as well. And, of course, the directors in the house, man. That means we can really have a night here and kick this thing off. So we'll get it started here. As expected, it seems like the day after a big strike, kind of a mediocre result. We went 6-7 on the day. It is what it is. Not the greatest day out there, but we did come off of fire in the previous day. 4-5 on our leans as well. So just kind of a middling day. We didn't really make any ground up. We didn't really lose a ton of ground either, but interesting spots out there. I was talking with my guy T, shout out to him backstage there on the 1s and 2s, keeping us moving in the right direction, getting it all dialed up, making it look good so that my chicken scratch turns into something that you guys can visually enjoy looking at. That's our guy T doing it backstage, keeping us on lockdown there, making sure that we keep this thing rolling, flipping through the buttons for us, making it happen so that we can keep it on track as well. And he and I were just talking about that. That NFL game last night, that's where I'll start kind of recapping the card here. But what kind of trickery was going on there? I mean, I don't know what the deal was with our guy's hand there. Joey Burrow's hand looked like he had almost elephantitis of the hand there. It was like huge. The thing looked like he got stung by 1,000 bees. And then when they showed him throwing that ball on the sidelines, what a mess. Not only that, but then you couple that mess with what happens with Lamar Jackson going down. We also get to a spot where, we move to Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews in the red zone, one of the most bet on touchdown prop guys out there, goes into the red zone, gets his 2 catches off the hop, and then he's hurt. So I just have a knack of playing a quarterback. When I see him go down, I want to beat those lines. So I live bet it, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We got Joey Burrow's going to be ready to go, and Lamar Jackson's hurt. Maybe he's got to do something. I don't know if he had to do a number 2 or what the deal was, but man, I just lost that thing several ways, which was really enjoyable. But you know what? We move on. We move forward. So we took an L on that Cincy spot. We did cash that Pittsburgh on the college football game under 46.5. I know a lot of folks kind of got burned on that one. Looking at that Boston College side of things, I said it from the get-go. If you're betting on Boston College, you're not watching Boston College. And we'll take that one and move forward. We did get that Virginia spot at minus 22.5. They won by 29. So even though the line moved, it still seemed to be the right shape, even up to 24 in those spots out there. The double dip in Texas Tech hurt the first half under or minus 12.5. Didn't get there. And then, of course, the game at minus 21.5. Another loss on that thing as well. New Mexico under 147.5 lost for me as well. And then, of course, William and Mary, where I expected a strong performance out of William and Mary. And they did not get it done. So they lost that big spot to Omaha. I expected them to be ready for that road trip. And they faced adversity. They took that out. I think they lost by 9 overall. And we'll see how they rebound and rally today. So, we did catch that last late night special, Hawaii minus 13.5. I told you guys, bottom line, that game wasn't scheduled 10 days ago. They threw it on the schedule. They had to pull all the transportation together. They sent those boys to the island for the first time from Niagara with a huge layoff in Chicago. That was a dialed-in spot. That was a late night special, but we did get that thing cashed. The Nets plus 3.5 did not get the job done. That's why we had to bring in the heavy hitters tonight, the reinforcements that get out there and get us right in this NBA. And then we had a nice hockey day. We got the Arizona Coyotes. Big play. They got the job done for us. The Calgary Flames was the juicy spot there that got the job done for us. The LA Kings got the job done for us as well. And then, the Boyd situation. I think he ended up with 3 receptions for an L. So all in all, a 6 and 7 day heavy volume. That's going to happen. But, we look at the lean side of the house as well. The Andrews touchdown and the Andrews over 4.5 receptions did not get it done. South Alabama minus 7.5 did not get it done. Wake Forest under did get it done. Golden State under did not get it done. Clayton Keller did not score a goal. The 2 hockey games went over, and then the Seattle spot. Hockey just continues to be heating up for us here, and we're going to keep an eye and focus on that. Unfortunately, only 2 games tonight. I did throw a parlay out there on Jimmy the Bag Show here, betting with Bouquet today, as it so turns out, that I had Toronto as the first leg of a parlay for plus 150, the second leg being the Florida Panthers, which we will talk about. Excited about that spot tonight. It's an 0-28 spot. And that brings us current. So we're 60 plus in here, guys. You know the deal here. Do us a favor. Hit that like button. Helps me grow this community. Helps us get this show recognized across the YouTube social media space. Additionally, throw your plays in the chat. Love to talk about them. Love to highlight them with you guys out there. We talked about a few of them last night on the live stream as well. If you guys were a part of that after 7:30 kickoff there, we had a lot of fun with that show. Maybe a couple too many shots of the whiskey, but that's what makes it fun. I had a good time anyways. And then I went and hammered some of those late night hockey spots. So it was a lot of fun. And we're going to try to replicate that tonight as we get everybody tight and right, getting those spots to cash and smash these bookies right over the head. So there's our guy Loopy says, Leafs big win today, 3rd period comeback. Yeah, that was the first leg of the parlay. And that's funny. I was texting my brother and I was like, man, I know they came back. I can't believe they came back because they were just getting so outplayed. And, I didn't even look at it live because I had so much tied into that parlay that I was just disgusted with the situation. Then to see him come back, that had to be a nice live spot for anybody that jumped on them when they were down 2-0. Fletcher Barry says, big plays. Here we go. Hit the like, boys. Let's go cash. Bounce back day. You better believe, Fletcher Barry. We're not here to mess around. We're here to get it done. Our guy Razor Sharp there, he says, Mikey Leans, what's up? Listen, man, you got to track it all. It's not just throwing them out there and saying, oh, forget about those guys. I didn't mean it, right? We're going to show you what happens, good or bad, win or lose, cash or pay. Hopefully more cash than pay, though. And there's our guy, Downplay. I ain't ish yet. Let's go, Downplay. Yo. All right, here. We're moving right down the line. J Smooth 16 says, let's smash these bookies. And Fletcher Barry, I threw pizza money on Toronto at plus 500. Nice job, Fletcher Barry. That's a situation where my early play dissuaded my focus on watching the rest of that game. And I was happy to get it done. I'm still alive, but I would have much preferred taking a shot with that plus 500. There's Kelly V. Welcome in, Kelly V. Happy Friday to you. Michigan minus 15. I like that spot there. And Mike, what you burning tonight? Purple, green, or money, baby? We're going with the purple green. Come on now, let's get it done. We're gonna get that cash here. We're gonna burn a little lemon haze later on too. So it's gonna be a lot of fun Friday night spot here. I got a birthday thing to deal with, but we will deal with that and then try to get back on the live stream with the boys. So let's launch this thing here. We're 70 deep. Appreciate you guys coming in, ready to rock and roll. I want to make sure that we maximize every opportunity I have with our guest tonight because certainly a guy that brings a ton of insight and analytics. You guys know I love the trends and angles, and I certainly enjoy not just when we get on screen together live, but the messages I get back and forth as well. So we're going to get rolling here, right? So we're 232 plays deep on the official record, 128, 104, plus 20.82 units. The lean side of things, we're 112 and 90, plus 35.44 units. And this brings us to the end of the 4th week of last call. So I'm excited. Let's really try to step into this thing. Let's really try to capitalize and make a big turn for the weekend and put some nice cash in our pockets here. We have 2 college football games to kick this show off with, and I've got a look on one, and I've got a strong play on the other. So, we'll start this thing off here. We've got South Florida going on and taking on them UTSA Road Runners. Meet, and it's a spot where we got a -14 opening for UTSA, the home team out there. Now -14.5 and 15.5 out there. Just changed here as I'm talking about it. It was just 75% of the bets. Now 74% of the bets and 61% of the cash coming in on that UTSA side. So literally, as I started kicking off this game, money coming in on that South Florida side. I think I'll tell you a little bit about why. We'll look at the total itself. It opened at 66.5. It's staying at 66.5. 78% of the bets and 83% of the cash on the over, and it's not moving. Wouldn't be surprised to see our guy Razor Sharp out there saying there's no way this game goes under, given those numbers. But we'll see. I don't want to put him on the spot and put a play in his mouth for him. So then, as far as the money line, 5% of the bets at +610 moved down to +550 at 79% of the cash. Somebody might know something, and I think I know what it is. So let's talk a little bit about this thing here. First and foremost, we've got a team with UTSA who kind of struggles, right? They have their best quarterback they've had in probably franchise history or team history here, but a 7-3 program in UTSA facing a 5-5 South Florida. South Florida's claim to fame, I think, this year has to be what they did to that Alabama game. I think that was like week 3 of the season where they shut Alabama down to less than 17 points. That was a big spot out there. And since then, as they've kind of moved to end of the season, they're back and forth. They just beat Temple. I hate Temple. 27-23. That's the only Philadelphia school that I just can't stand. I just can't get on the right side of those guys. Anyway, any sport, it doesn't matter. I bet you even in their swimming program, I would struggle to find a winner. So that being said, then you look at Memphis. They covered against Memphis, but they lost outright. They did beat a UConn team on the road, so they had back-to-back road games, which was a big spot for them there. And then got blown out by FAU, but FAU's kind of not what we thought they were. They were laying 2.5 against FAU, and they got absolutely throttled. On the flip side of things with UTSA, they've been putting it together here. They found a way, but I just think this is a situation where they're not playing, quality opponents. Now, granted, they're coming up with the wins in conference here. They just beat up Rice 34-14. They beat up North Texas on the road 37-29. They pushed that game, but they were laying 8 points, and they were able to get the victory and the push. They played East Carolina. They did not cover the spread, laying 18.5 against East Carolina. And then there's that most recent common opponent in FAU, 36-10. So we got a UTSA team that's probably going to be looking at senior night tonight. That's a big deal for a lot of folks. It's the last big spot out there. And at the end of the day, can you trust Traylor to get the boys ready to fight and attack here? I guess my main thought on this thing is when you look at AAC conference home favorites, when they're lined over 12 points, when they're laying more than 12 points, and the total's 63 points or higher, they're 13-25 against the spread. When I put this together earlier today, it was a meaty 16.5 that was out there. Look at how this line's fallen just in the last 2 hours. It's down to 14.5 right now, suggesting potentially that there is some concern that USF is going to find a way to come out and shock the world with this UTSA at least a cover. But I say at least a cover because there's another trend that I've been tracking for quite some time here. And, it comes down to this one here. If you're going to take a shot and you want to take a shot, there's a reason I read the money line out here. South Florida, 0-57 outright when they're a 5-point dog or greater, going all the way back to 2013. So 10 years, 0-57 as a 5-point dog in that stretch or greater. And in that stretch of time, 85 other FBS teams managed to be a dog of 5 points or greater at least 32 times. What happened in that spot? At least 4 of those games were upset wins out there. So if you're going to take a shot at this thing, and we're seeing the 14.5, maybe I would suggest to look on this thing and saying, take the 14.5, maybe take a half a unit or a quarter unit and drop it on that plus 550. What I like to do in a lot of cases like that, I know a lot of folks will say, if I take the dog, I'm taking the money line. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case all the time. There's some dogs, just aren't going to get the job done. But maybe instead of just the risk amount, look to the 2-win amount, right? So 2-win a unit, if you're using your unit size of $100, you're going to bet $110 on the plus 14.5. You're only going to bet maybe $18 or $17 to win $100 on that money line. And you still, if they cover the spread but don't win on the money line, you're still up over a half a unit on the game. So you got to kind of be smart and creative about some of the way you get those things down. And, that's going to be a spot that I take a look at here. It's a later start for the game here. I believe it's 8 o'clock Eastern. It might even be 9 o'clock Eastern now that I think about it. And 9 o'clock Eastern. It's out there at the Alamo Dome. Might be a spot to go. I know our guy, Jose Bouquet's going to not want to hear me saying that, but I'm going to be rooting for a big upset there. I not only the upset, but an outright winner here. And it's capable. South Florida went out there and handled a Bama team on defense and shut them down. And UTSA is not of the pedigree that an Alabama is, a one-loss Alabama team on the season. So let's keep moving. Let's talk about the next game here. Kelly D says, maybe take a few less points for NCAA South Florida. Yeah, that's another good look at it too, Kelly. That's, instead of laying 14.5, maybe you get in there with 10.5, right? I mean, these are just kind of talking out loud spots out there, but that AAC number that I talked about suggested that it was a 3.5 point margin of victory there. So that would say to me, at 14.5, I wouldn't go much lower than maybe 10.5 or 11 if you're going to do that. I think the big reward, the risk rewards are obviously being on the money line itself. So let's move on. Game number 2, the second college football game that we're going to talk about tonight, the only other college football game on the books. And it's a big one. It's everybody's favorite out there, or maybe not. Maybe it depends on how you like to play this game here. But we know Prime's going to be ready to rock and roll here. It's Colorado at Washington State, making the trip up the Great North. It's going to be chilly. But Colorado's been dealing with some snow, so they're not afraid of any of that colder weather. And the line opened at 6. It's down to 4.5. 60% of the bets and 48% of the cash on Colorado. So what that's seeing there is there is some bigger money coming in on Washington State. And that Washington State money has been coming in as that line moved to 4. So somewhere in that vicinity, the Sharps were thinking 6 is too many. 4 is probably not enough, and they're thinking it might be a 5-point game. The total itself opened at 64.5, and it's down to 60.5. 51% of the bets and 48% of the cash on that over. And yet we're seeing that it's dropping. So there is some concern. The books are showing concern. What's funny is when I put this together, you'll see the leans. I saw a 66.5 out there. Let me jump in and just line shop real quick here as we're talking aloud here, as I'm talking aloud. 60.5 is the current number out there. So 6-point drop from when I put this thing together. And we saw it open at 63.5. It shot up to 66.5. Now it's down to 60.5. And I think I know why. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. As far as the line itself, there are still 4.5s out there. And that's the official spot for me in this game. What we had out there is Colorado plus 4.5. It's a revenge spot for a team that's in a non-cover off of that last game. Now, this is a different team, so I like this trend even more. It's a revenge spot for a team that didn't cover the last time Colorado played Washington State. It was a disgraceful Colorado team out there that played Washington State. And they're off a loss as a conference away dog. Look, 39-19 against the spread in that revenge spot when they didn't cover the previous season. 39-19, winning by 5 points. 25-32 to the under. The margin of victory for the under is like 2 points. Not anything that gets me excited. I'm not really that excited about the 5, but I do like this number with the 4.5. The other thing that I was looking at here with the total, and kind of one of the things that I was talking about earlier with this under spot and this under movement here is, Washington just came off a shootout, right? The game shot way over the total. They 42-39 final score. The game went over by 22.5 points on the total. What happens to Washington State the next game after they go way over the number like that? Course correction, and they put the clamps down on defense. Washington State 14-0-1 to the under when their last game was against an FBS team that went over the total by 10 points or more. So a big spot to the under there, 14-0-1. We've seen that number move down. I took a teaser pre-show, and you'll see it being one of the leans that I have on the screen there. It was plus 10.5 spot for Colorado, which is still available. Give me that 6 points on Colorado. But the under now is going to be back to 66.5. I still like that. We'll use that as the official number. I still like that under, getting that thing back up that 6 points. But yeah, to see that thing move that 6 point direction was kind of ridiculous to me. I got Colorado plus 4.5. I know I heard Our guy Bavano talking about it earlier today when he was on Betting with Buquette. You do not mess around with a prime team. You're not going to quit on this guy. He's going to get in your face, and then he'll just cut your ass. And it wouldn't surprise me if he cut somebody's ass that gave up at halftime and told them to put their street clothes on and get the hell out of there. So, that, and find your own way home while you're at it. It's going to be it's got to be a multi-connecting flight to leave Washington State and go to Colorado. So have fun with that. But I think it's just going to be a spot where the boys step up. Washington State's pass rush, not what we want to see out there when you look at, playing a team like Colorado, and Sanders should be able to kind of, run, shake those defending tacklers down and get the first down and the chains moving with his legs. So just keep it short and sweet. We want to get to our guy here. I like Colorado plus 4.5 in that spot for me. Let's talk about the NHL. 2 games in the NHL. One play I like a lot, one play I like a little. And I might like it a little more than a little by the time we get done talking about it here. The first game up on the docket, Buffalo Sabres, Winnipeg Jets. Only 2 games tonight. This first game features Eric Comrie at 1-1, coming back from a lower body injury. He was part of the 3-man rotation for the Buffalo Sabres, getting his shot to come back, versus Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck, 7-4-1 on the season. Buffalo, 2.45 goals against average for Comrie, 91.4% saving. This is going to be his first start going back to October 27th. So he's had about a 3-week hiatus dealing with that lower body injury. And on the flip side of things, Connor Hellebuck, kind of starting to regress a little bit. He came firing out the gates, 298 goals against average, but an 89.4% save percentage right now. It's the first game of a back-to-back for the Jets. Hellebuck's been their guy. He's played 12 of the 15 games that the Winnipeg Jets have played this season. Good record, poor performance, right? So, the Jets have somehow found a way to win despite Hellebuck kind of having some of those struggles out there. Ultimately, for me, I looked at this thing and thought, well, do I want to go to the Jets? No, I don't want to lay the juice in that spot here for a Jets team that's inconsistent at best. And the Sabres can pull some surprises. It's the first game of a back-to-back for Winnipeg as well. So that's certainly a factor that kind of, ruled into my judgment on the side of this things. And Buffalo, what we know about Buffalo, they haven't been scoring this season. Their expectations against goal performance are down towards the bottom half of the league and even the bottom third of the league. They've been outscored 9-2 in their last 2 games. They're 0-2 in those spots as well. I couldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to get into that, that Winnipeg Jet side of things. But look, for the Sabres, it's injury festival right now. The biggest injury they have is their number 1 point producer in Tage Thompson, out for an indefinite period of time. All of that, the low scoring performance, Hellebuck potentially being in a bounce back spot, Comrie looking to come back and regain his position in that 3-man rotation. I had to go with that under for Buffalo. Under 6.5 is a lean for me. It's an even money lean. And you know it. Nasty Nate, I'm sharing with you guys the info. You guys decide what you want to do with it. But at the end of the day, we'll track it on the lean side of the house. The second game is a play that I did want to jump in on. Pretty excited about this game here. It's Florida at Anaheim. And Anaheim's been, they've been doing well. We cashed a plus 160 on them the other day. No doubt about that. Florida, on the flip side of things, turning it around. I think they're 6-1 in their last 7 games. I think they've won 5 of their last 6 specifically. And, the Ducks in this spot here, no Trevor Zegras, no Leo Carlson, big holes that Anaheim's going to have to fill in that lineup. Now, as far as the goaltenders are concerned, they're starting Stolarz in net for Florida. He's a 2-1 guy out there. He's got a 2.71 goals against average and an 89.2 save percentage. The flip side of things, they got Gibson back in net for Anaheim, and it couldn't have come any sooner. As soon as he comes back, they start getting W's, 2.19 goals against average, 92.7% saving out there. And Gibson's 3-1 in his last 4 games. So, we kind of have that situation where we've got, steel meeting steel or iron meeting iron, I guess, however you want to look at it. But Gibson, 118 of 124 shots saved in his last 4 games as well. He's been playing incredibly well. Ultimately, for me, what led me to this Florida side of the minus 1.5, it's already Florida money line on the backside of this parlay for me, but I wanted to go for the score here. We talk about this in hockey. I brought it up several times with you guys. When you've got a spot where you've got a goaltender or you've got a team that's playing another team or coming off of a team, in this case here, we do have a team, and that team is the St. Louis Blues. When your next game's at home versus the Blues and you're a home dog that previous game, you're 0-28. I don't know why. I don't know what juju or psyche the Blues have when it comes to getting ready for those games, but they're 0-28. I kind of have a feeling it's a spot where you're thinking, now the Blues have turned it around a little bit, but I feel like it's a spot where you're thinking, look, it's the Blues. we can slack off a little bit here, and that kind of leads to lack of momentum in those games. The average, though, for me in those 0-28 spots is 4-1 being the score. 4 goals, in this case, on the Florida side, 1 goal on the Anaheim side. That led me to the Florida Panthers, -1.5. I know it's a Stolar spot there, but it's also a revenge spot to some degree because, yeah, they're professionals. I don't know how much that revenge stuff matters at the end of the day, but I know that Stolarz was a former Anaheim Duck. He's going to want to go out there and kick some ass. He's going to want to put his boot literally in the ass of those Anaheim Ducks, and I like this spot quite a bit. It's a +142 spot right now to lay that -1.5. And we're seeing that trend over a 28-game sample, 0-28, average score 4-1. So I locked down the Florida Panthers. That's an official hockey play for me tonight. Look, there's only 2 games to work with, only 2 spots I could jump into. And I want to move forward. And it's nice of him to put that out there, isn't it? It's nice. We appreciate it. It's certainly a lot of fun for our guy Razor. Let's talk about some college basketball. I got a couple looks for you guys on the hardwood, and then we're going to get this thing rolling over to the NBA. I got to move faster here because we're already behind. I told our guy 6:25, and I don't want to keep him waiting. I hate that myself, and I sure expect him to feel the same way. So we will keep it grinding out here. Let's talk about this college basketball spot here. The first game I'm looking at, Towson and Wake Forest. And let's take a look at the splits on this game. Let me pull it up. Tons of college basketball. Going to have to get used to this being the case all season long. And I think we had over 80 games tonight. So far, it's been a good start for me on the college basketball circuit here. I think I'm 3-0 to start off college basketball today. And I'm hoping to carry that momentum into this evening here. We had Towson open up as a 6-point dog. Probably better to look at Wake Forest as a 6-point favorite. The line's now 4.5 points. 73% of the bets and 73% of the cash on that Wake Forest side. The line itself, the total opened at 141. We're at 137.5, 62% of the bets and 88% of the cash pushing that under. And that's what I like in this spot here. I like to see certainly that the money's coming in on that under. Cashed that under last night in a Wake Forest spot out there already. We know that Wake Forest likes to play a slow pace, slow tempo game, kind of dominate the inside, collect those rebounds, and move forward here. Also, when you have a favorite in a neutral site scenario coming off an under, it's 2-7 to the under that next game, and it's going under by 6 points. I mean, that's like 3 buckets right there. That's 3 possessions. So an under by 6 points. I got it earlier today. It was 138.5. Now we're seeing a drop again here. So the current number that we can get, let's line shop. Let's make sure we get the best number for everybody. The current number that we can get, 137.5 is the best number that's out there. In fact, there's only 137s and 137.5s that I see out there. So I like it. You know what? I see that number. I know where it opened up. I know where we're at. We're still within the margin of comfortability here and to be able to get the job done. I took that under Wake Forest Towson, cashed it yesterday. Going to run it back tonight. Love those neutral site unders. We talked about that with Duke and kind of got burned on that thing, but we turned it around yesterday. Now New Mexico kicked some ass, but that wasn't a neutral site game. That was New Mexico going back home. So probably should have looked at that one a little differently. Game number 2 we're going to talk about on the college hardwood. We're going to look at this Missouri State, Florida Gulf Coast spot out here. And, I like Florida Gulf Coast. I made a ton of money on them a couple years back. You guys probably remember the run. Maybe you don't, but that was a lot of fun with those guys out there. And in this case here, let me pull this one up as well. Slow going to get there. Let's go. There it is. The line opened up as Florida Gulf Coast as a 1.5-point dog. They're now 1.5-point favorites. 66% of the cash, 66% of the bets on Florida Gulf Coast. And as far as the total, 75% of the cash on the under, only 54% of the bets. 75% of the bets, 54% of the cash on the under. And the line's not budging, so we kind of have a little bit of a frozen line there. Tough spot for Florida Gulf Coast here. I'm looking for this as more of the bounce back angle here. They played, 2 road games already. They lost to Indiana, but they're tested themselves in that game. And they lost to Pitt, 86-74 to Pitt. Didn't cover the spread either. They were getting 10.5 points and they just got, beat down. But that was really coming off that Indiana spot where they really overachieved themselves there. They lost by 6 points, but they were getting 14.5, so it was a comfortable cover. On the flip side of things here, I think this is going to be a buy low spot for Florida Gulf Coast, sell high for Missouri State. I know there's not much of a margin in terms of a 3-point swing, but 3 points is almost a possession, and we went from a dog to a favorite. Oral Roberts was the last victory that Missouri State had. They beat Oral Roberts 84-69. And look, here's this bounce back trend specifically. When you're a favorite, coming off a loss in a neutral site game, There's a big 9-2 run going on in that spot right now. So Florida Gulf Coast fits that model for me. Florida Gulf Coast, I just took the money line at -125. Let's take a peek at what's going on out there. The reason I went with the money line is because I could see this game very well coming down to just a single bucket and maybe a free throw at the end. So the current cash line out there, there's a -120 on the money line for Florida Gulf Coast over there at Caesars. That's going to be the number I jump on. I took Florida Gulf Coast on the money line. Again, both teams, 1-1 Missouri State, 1-2 Florida Gulf Coast. I think it's a good bounce back spot. Let's move on to this third game that I want to talk to you guys about here. And I'm high on the St. Mary's team. I went with the St. Mary Gauls tonight. I think at the end of the day, this team is ready. They're trying to go out there and show that they are capable of taking down Gonzaga. We suspected that all the way back to last week when we talked about them going out there and beating up on New Mexico, which they comfortably did. And we're going to go back to them again tonight. Again, a similar spot out there. Let me pull up the cache. There's got to be a better way for me to do this and have it ready, but I still load and toggle through all these windows, and that's the way it goes. But let's get there. It's later game on the card as well, so that will certainly help. Let's go. Let's scroll. There it is. We had the line open up at San Diego State -1. Again, a dog to favorite situation here. Now +1.5 available for San Diego State. 82% of the bets and 90% of the cash on St. Mary's. Interesting numbers. As far as the total, we saw 95% of the bets. They're not showing us the cash. Maybe it's because it's a lower sample of tickets. It's a 9:30 Eastern start. But we see 7,500 total tickets mixed up between the sides and the totals. But we saw it open at 129.5. We see a 130.5 out there. And this is another one of those bounce back trends there. I just read you guys that bounce back trend for Florida Gulf Coast. It's the same thing out here for the St. Mary's team here. Having just lost to Weber, not the spot they wanted to be at. I think they just kind of overlooked that opponent after coming off of that big win against New Mexico. They were laying 8.5 against New Mexico. They won by 14. Then they lost outright to Weber. So I think that was just a letdown spot. That's kind of the punch in the mouth that they need to be able to figure out how to pull this thing back together and go out there and perform. So, for me in this game here, I see the -1.5s. Let's take a peek at the money line. Let's see what this money line says. -120 again for this one. I'm just going to stay with the 1.5 for this one. I don't think that bucket's going to make a difference for San Diego State. So lock me down. St. Mary's -1.5. And let's bring on our guest here. Guest of honor. Certainly enjoy capping with this guy. I love the fact, the trends, the analytics. I like the song he's got. The man spits his own bars. Who the hell is that? It's LJ from the H, baby. Let's go. Let's get him on here. I might have screwed that up. Let's see what happens. There he goes. LJ from the H. Who the hell is that? What's up, my guy? How are you?
What's going on, Mike? How we doing this evening, sir?
Sorry to keep you waiting. A lot to get down and cover out there, but I'm doing mighty fine, LJ. We've had a good start thus far to college basketball. Live in this parlay I've got with the NHL, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you got for us in the association tonight. It's going to be that next round of play-in or in-play tournaments. I'll get that right eventually. We got quite a few games to break down. You guys will see on the right-hand side kind of our agenda out there, and we don't have to cover them all. I told LJ if he doesn't have a look on a spot, then by all means, don't need to be put in the position to lock one down here. But the first game we'll start out with here is going to be that Bucks versus Hornets spot. LJ, I'll give the cash splits there and then just kind of turn it over to you and see if you have any thoughts on this game itself here. So we've got the Bucks, and I believe I saw Giannis to be out of this game.
No, actually, he's ruled in.
He is? Okay. Perfect. Yes. Perfect. So that makes sense then, because the line opened at -4.5. We're now at -8. 62% of the bets and 60% of the cash hammering away on them Bucks. And the total opened at 234. Now 242. There's even 242.5s out there. 90% of the bets and 93% of the cash on that over with the old Bucks on the road Bucks against them Charlotte Hornets. Take it away, LJ. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I can see the total going over. Both of these teams, top 5 in offense, last 5 games. But they both give up a lot of points as well. They're bottom 10 in defensive efficiency. And we mentioned before that, Milwaukee's been lacking in the defense since the trade. They lost a lot of pieces in the front court. So they have to make up for those points that they're letting go. And the fact that Giannis has been ruled in, I'm confident they'll take care of business. I will look more the first half because Charlotte, they try to be negative in the first half. They're the worst NBA team in the first half, last 3 games, -8-point differential. The Bucks are trending up, plus 5.7 in the last 3 in the first half. So the fact that Giannis has ruled in, Lillard is playing as well. I think the Bucks take care of business in the first half, but I didn't make a play on it just simply because of the influctuality of both of these teams giving up points as well. You know, Charlotte is ranked number 1 in points in the paint, so that's how they score, but they can't score on the perimeter. But the Bucks do score on the perimeter, and they lack in size inside. So it's kind of a conflict of interest for me in this game. So I just stayed off, but I would lean the over considering both of these teams have been putting up points the last 5 games.
Yeah, so shout out to Director 97, says St. Mary's game under or over in that game. I would lean to the over in that game because San Diego State's a team that likes to put up points as well. I didn't mean to skip you on that one there. Just wanted to make sure we transition to the NBA. So just a lean for me, nothing official there whatsoever, Director 97, but I wanted to share that. And LJ, I'll share this number with you. The Hornets 16-0 to the under at home when they're playing a non-divisional opponent that they beat against the spread the previous time they played. So little bit of overlap there going back a little bit of time there. We know the Bucks have been cranking on those overs though, man. I struggled with that one. That's ultimately what I wanted to take that over. I was just thinking the Bucks kind of seem like one of those blind over teams. It seems like they like to score, but
yeah, they do. But it's a new team though, man. We gotta give them time, you know, to get some cohesive going on. For Charlotte, like I said, they give up a lot of points. The only good thing about Charlotte is LaMelo. Like I would look at his PRA because he does put up points and assists. But I just don't know how they're going to respond at home. You know, they're one of the worst teams in the league. So I just don't like diving into games like that where it's so much of a minus point differential, you know, with another team that's, you know, trending up for us, the Bucks. So I just stayed off.
Yeah, and shout out to our guy Dan Kelly because he did mention this here in the chat. He says a lot of the teams playing tonight are motivated to run up the score. The second tiebreaker for group play in season tourney after head-to-head is point differential. So very great observation. He says, even if a team is losing, they will want to score because of that point differential tiebreaker. So there won't be any letting the clock run out to end the game. That could certainly push a lot of totals as well. So that's a great observation, Dan Kelly. Thanks for sharing that with us. And that's certainly something that we'll look at and have to monitor. I know I've got a couple spots where coming up here on the card that I factored in some of the play-in capabilities here. So let's move on to the next game. Let's keep rolling. Sounds like no official play for either of us there, but a couple of spots for you guys to consider. Game number 2 we're looking at here is this Knicks and Wizards game. The line opened at -2.5. We've moved to -7s. There's even some 7.5 starting to show their head. 88% of the bets and 93% of the cash on the Knicks, the road Knicks in this case. And the total opened at 227. It sits at 227. But we have 75% of the bets and 85% of the cash on this over. And just as I say that, a little bit of line movement now creeping in from that 7.5 down to 7s and now 6.5s out there for the New York Knicks. So there was just a last minute push there to get some 6.5s out there for the Knicks. Somebody must have come in and hit them Wizards at +7. LJ, take it away for us.
Yeah, man. Wizards, we know they're one of probably the worst team in the league, man. They've lost 4 in a row. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're ranked 26 in defensive efficiency. So there's no way we could look towards the Wizards to even trying to cover a spread. The Knicks have been playing well, especially on the road, going back to last season, 11-3 against the spread as a road favorite. So they play very well in this spot. And first quarter, +5-7, last 3 games. The Wizards are -7 in the first quarter of the last 3 games, -7 at home average on the season. So the fact that the Knicks play well versus this division as well, 3-0 versus the Southeast Division so far, I believe I'm going to take a shot on in the first quarter. I jumped on it at Knicks first quarter -2, -115. I believe they come out in the first quarter, step on Washington as well. And you also could look at Mitchell Robinson's rebounds in this game as well. Ricky Bobby just put it in there. Mitchell Robinson over 9.5 rebounds. He's a rebounding machine. I think he's hit this number like 3 out of his last 4 games. So the Wizards lacking that front court, you know. So I think Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson can dominate the paint tonight. And I'm also going to step on Julius Randle over 4.5 assists. He's hit 5+ assists 5 out of his last 6 games. And he also leads the team in assists right behind Jalen Brunson. So he's averaging 5 assists on the season. So over 4.5 assists for Julius Randle, I think it's an excellent look tonight, considering how many points the Wizards give up as well. So I believe the Knicks will be putting points up. Be careful with the blowout as well. So that's why I'm taking the first quarter, because I don't want to mess with the full game, because the Wizards could come in backdoor that spread at the end of the game. But first quarter, I think, is an excellent look for the Knicks, -2.
Great. And then are you official with the Randall over 4.5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What kind of juice did you get on that one?
I got that at minus 115. Let me double check just to make sure.
Sure.
Yeah, minus 115.
Yeah, we got some chat conversation going on here. Ron Gray says the Wizards game is suspended. I haven't seen that yet, but I haven't seen anything on that yet. I did see some injury updates coming out there. So I did see like our guy, I think that's T out there in the behind the scenes said RJ Barrett is out for the game. I did see that as well. And Mitchell is out for the Cavs, says Norman Ross. Here's Kelly V says Charlotte's been sneaky good in the first half versus Milwaukee. Charlotte +4 first half is an is odd. Yeah, interesting spot there as well. JPC says that St. Mary's total at 130. I still like that over. I think it's probably a 134, 135 type of game. Chris Commentini says I have bad memories of games getting suspended. Yeah, I don't see any news on that. So
no, I don't see anything either.
Not to doubt it. In fact, I see the Wizards lineup. The Wizards will start Jones, Poole, what is it? Avdija, Kuzma, and Gafford on Friday. So I just saw that come out 4 minutes ago. So anyhow, let's move on. Let's keep it rolling. Dan Kelly says the Knicks are one of the teams that definitely want to run up the score. Yeah, and then I was looking at this other spot here for you guys here, just as far as the trend that I was able to pull away for this game here. No official play for me on it, but the Wizards are 17-1 to the over. They're going over by 10.82 points as home dogs versus a team they beat against the spread in their previous meeting, if their opponent has been a favorite on average on the season. So when they beat their previous opponent and the opponent's a favorite, meaning they're a better team, they're coming out there and they're pushing pace and they're going over 17 out of 18 times by 11 points. It's interesting, though, because we're seeing that cash coming down on and the line not moving. So that was a real tricky spot for me. I like that Knicks. I like the Randall spot. I played a couple of spots there. Made some cash with that Randall spot too. So I'm gonna most definitely tell you there. I think that's a great look. And let's keep going. Let's roll on. Next game: Pistons and Cavs. Couple plays for me in this Pistons Cavs game here. So I double dipped and it was really around that first start. So minus 9.5 where the line opened. We're seeing 7.5s out there with 39% of the bets and 79% of the cash on the Cavs. The line's dropping. Interesting. That being said, the total opened at 224.5. We're down to 219, so there's even some 218 starting to show up. 80% of the bets, but 95% of the cash on that under. And look, I just wrote down in this one here that this is definitely Cavs starting off this tournament 0-1. Pistons get eliminated here if they lose as well. So it's going to be a motivation spot, I think, to start this thing out. But the real quick, I'll share this number with you guys here, that teams who scored less than their projected total facing the same opponent are 20-1 against the spread, covering by 14 points if they lost the previous two meetings as favorites or slight dogs. When I looked at those numbers, though, I broke those games down and I saw 20-1 is a great number. You can easily fall in love with a stat like that. The line's moving against this trend with the cash coming in on it. I had the first quarter trend in that situation, 30-26, and the second quarter, 30-23. So I dissected this game. I just dropped it into two chunks. I went with the first quarter minus 2.5. Let me line shop it, make sure it's still out there. 2.5s are still out there. And then the first half minus 4.5s are still out there as well. LJ, take it away.
Yeah, too many injuries for me in this game. Donovan Mitchell, I just saw, is ruled out. Darius Garland is playing. So their backcourt, they have one person in their backcourt all-star. But I don't. The Pistons are dealing with some injuries as well. Duran, I think, in the front court is missing. He's not there today as well. So I just don't like capping games with a lot of injuries are concerned with the roster. Both these teams are trending low as far as the Pistons, 1-9 in the last 10. They lost 9 in a row, 3-7 against the spread in the last 10. The Cavs ain't too much worse, man. 4-6 in their last 10. They are 0-2 at home versus the East. Pistons are 0-2 on the road in their division. So just too much for me, Mike. I didn't have anything on this game. We can pass. Just too many issues going on. And then the Cavs are coming back from a West Coast road trip. 5 games. The first game at home. We don't know how they're going to respond tonight. So I just stayed away.
Yeah, I thought that exactly. The West Coast road trip, you got the injury factors. And that's why I wanted to break it down and just kind of take advantage of that first part of the game, because I think that tired leg factor could certainly play a part. Mm-hmm. And then see some guys in the chat questioning here. Yeah, it looks like Mitchell is out and it looks like Garland is in. So that's really about the only confirmation we have. Dean Wade's going to start for Donovan Mitchell. So clearly a little bit of a step back there in that opportunity, but I still like it. I still went with that first quarter, first half. I just looked at the number overall in the NBA in this spot. Yeah. I get the spot with the players and the injuries, but let's move on to the next one. Big card to cover here still, so let's keep it rolling. Next game on the docket, we got the Kings, we got the Spurs, and let me get the numbers out for this game here. We've got this line opened up at a -2, and we've seen it shoot off like a rocket now to -8.5. So the line opened 80% of the bets on the Kings, 82% of the money and the cash on the Kings, and the total's been shooting up like a rocket. Open at 230.5, 237.5, and 238.5 out there now. 57% of the bets and 68% of the cash on the over, and we've seen it move 8 points in some cases out there. So interesting spot. No official plays for me, LJ, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I gotta definitely put some spots in this game. First of all, I'm on the first quarter with the Kings, -2.5. 4-0 against the spread, last 4 games in the first quarter. They're averaging around 35 points their last 3 games in the first quarter. So they're coming out smash, especially the fact De'Aaron Fox is back in that lineup. They're like a +20 offensive efficiency when he's on the court, so he's very important to the offense. So the fact that he's back, I'm going to trust the Kings, put up some points in this game. And San Antonio only averaging 26 points in the first quarter, was ranked 24th. So I believe the Kings come out early first quarter. It could be a first half spot as well, but I'm just going to stick to the first quarter where they're trading the best right now. And I also can look at Sabonis, PRA, over 39.5. Last 3 games versus the Spurs, he's had a 40, 49, 44. So I think he'll do well. He's going to put up some points in that front court. They're missing Vassell. The Spurs are missing their second leading scorer. So a lot of people going to be out of position. Now, Wembley, I like Wembley as well. So you can look at his blocks probably. He's a good defender. But anybody else trying to score, I think it's going to be a lot of pressure on him and a couple of guys to keep up with the Kings offense because they like to push the pace. They like to score fast. So I believe San Antonio is a bad spot tonight. So I'm on the Kings, -2.5 first quarter. And I'm on Sabonis, PRA, over 39.5.
Great. What was the juice you got on the PRA?
Hold on, let me get it right quick. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'll get it right quick.
And I do take it back. I do have an official play. You'll see down there in the bottom in parlay corner. I did do a little trifecta or a little triple parlay there with the Celtics, the Kings, and the Suns. So we'll talk about that more. Nothing as far as specific props or anything for me in this game, but I did bundle together with that thought process that Dan Kelly said. This team needs to run that score up. They need to play hard, and they need to play start to finish. They need to play the full spot. So it's a +148 spot. We'll talk about those other 2 games here in just a moment.
1 second, Mike.
No worries. I can look it up too while you're.
Oh, here it is right here. I got it. PRA -114.
Perfect.
-114.
Perfect. All right, let's roll on. Let's keep it moving. Big NBA card tonight. We're going to jump on this next game. There we go. Sixers game we're going to talk about here is the next game on the docket. My Sixers, tough spot there the other night. They got nasty nated. That's the AKA the trifecta out there. The line opened at -1, and there's a pick 'em. There's +1s out there now as well. 43% of the bets and 55% of the cash on the Sixers. I would consider that to be a coin flip. That's marginal. I mean, clearly more of the bets are on the Hawks, but the cash is kind of right around where they want it. The total opened at 232.5, and now we're seeing 236s, even 237s. 93% of the bets and 85% of the cash on the over in this game, and we are seeing a little bit of concern. The books are showing a little concern on the movement, and look, you'll see on the screen. I got the Sixers here. So, LJ, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I got the Sixers as well, my friend. 20-5 as a real favorite since going back to last season. So I believe they're off 2 losses as well. So I love taking good teams when they're coming off losses. They lost the last one, to Boston, tough loss, but I believe they'll bounce back tonight with a short front court of the Hawks. I believe Embiid dominates in this game. The Hawks are 1-2 at home versus the East, 0-2 versus the Atlantic Division. So they've been having trouble versus this team. The 76ers are 8-2 in their last 10. So definitely Sixers spot for me. And I'm also jumping on a prop as well. I'm going to take Tobias Harris over 2.5 assists. I got it at -140. I know it's juice, but he's hit it 6 out of his last 8 games. And the Hawks give up the most assists to the power forward position. Last 5 games that they've given up the power forward position is averaging 5 assists right there on the number. Tobias Harris over 2.5 assists, -140. And I'm on the Sixers money line like you, sir, -105.
Yes, sir. Here I see. I saw. It looks like we've moved to minus 109 on Bet Rivers, but that's not going to sway me. That's only a couple of cents. So
Yeah.
we will keep that updated number. I see Bet Rivers minus 109s, and I'm seeing that number continuing to tick. And I'll discount the two losses because it was a revenge spot for the Celtics. I know they were at home, and that was a bad loss, but there was that questionable status for Embiid out there. And then they lost to the Pacers, which was a look-ahead spot for, the Celtics game. And they had just played the Pacers and smacked them. So, the one number I'll share with you guys as well here in the chat and with my guy LJ, the Sixers, 2-game skid right now. The last time they've lost at least 2 games straight, they're 13-0 against the spread, 12-1 outright when they're not at least an 8-point or greater favorite. So in a tight window here where the books aren't certain if they're going to go out there and win or not, they are winning. They're 13-0 against the spread, 12-1 overall. So just another confidence factor for me to jump in on the Sixers, not just as a fanboy of the team there, but it just makes sense in this spot here. Like you said, with Atlanta, they have been less than, exciting to jump in on this season. So I think it's a great Sixer spot tonight for that bounce back and get things moving again in the right direction. So let's keep rolling. Let's get on to this next game here. We got the Celtics. We're about the halfway point. We'll try to speed it up for you guys and keep a brisk pace here. This Celtics game is the next one on the docket for us. And this is a big one, right? North of the border. We got a little bit of a challenge going on here now. Celtics traveling up to Toronto. The line opened at 4.5. We're at -9. 73% of the bets and 87% of the cash on the Celtics. And the total opened at 219.5. It's to 224 with 59% of the bets, but only 40% of the cash on the over. So I think we're starting to see it bottom out, or maybe it's top out. Maybe they hit the ceiling and they're thinking that this number is going to jump down a little bit from there. LJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm liking Boston, man. Everybody knows last year I didn't bet Boston games. I just felt they depend on that 3 too much, and they still do depend on that 3. But I like Drew Holiday in that offense because he puts people in the right position. I like Porzingis too. They're stretching the floor now, so I like this team better than last year. So that's why I'm going to look to bet on Boston a lot because they are one of the top teams in this NBA. Now, getting to my play, we're going to jump on Boston. First quarter, I believe it's -2. Boston +6 in the first quarter. Number 1 in the NBA, averaging 30 points in the first quarter. Toronto is only averaging 25 points in the first quarter. -8-point differential the last 3 games in the first quarter. So I'm just thinking Boston's going to come out early and often as well. Toronto has been slacking. I usually take them at home in the first quarter, but their record is showing me that without OG Anunoby in that lineup, Toronto is a different team. So I'm not going to look to bet them until OG gets back in that lineup. Now, for as a prop in this game 12, Mike, I have Derek White over 4.5 assists, +106. He's hit 5 assists, 5 out of his last 7 games. And the fact that Toronto has given up an average of 8 assists their last 5 games to the point guard position, I believe Derek White is in prime position to hit that over 4.5 assists. And I believe Boston wins the game, but I'm going to stay safe and take them in the first quarter, -2, where they have the biggest advantage in this game.
Puts a smile on my face to hear you nailing these prop bets like you are. I love looking at those spots there, and it's just like it makes sense in some spots. Like we talked about a couple of them where you get these guys like league averages, or you see these teams league averages, and they're giving you plus money on spots like that. Like, you know what? I'll take that shot every single day and twice on Sunday and a plus money gig to try to make that cash. And so we're in some alignment there because I like this first half. Official play for me is the first half. I think we both feel the same about Boston. I saw Anunoby being out of there, and I like that first half. -4.5 was the number I got out there. Look, the Boston Celtics 23-0 against the spread when they're in a rest position where they're a favorite off a game where they were a dog and their previous opponent scored 10 or more points in the paint. So, interesting little spot there with the rebounding or the point factors in there. Let me just take a quick browse around the old shop here. I see 2.5s now. 2.5 still okay with you for that first half?
Yeah, that's fine. I like first quarter. Yeah, I like the first half too. I was going to take the first half too, but I don't like double dipping in games. I want to take it easy. So I'm very confident that they cash both the first quarter and the first half because that's where they are the best, Boston.
Yeah, Nasty Nate, check it out. There's 2.5s, there's 3s and 3.5s out there. So make sure you guys line shop in that thing there. That's a spot where we both kind of synchronized in that spot. So 2.5s would be at first quarter, 2.5s. Bet Rivers and Bet MGM are the two sites that I see with those numbers right now. So check those out. Again, I see 3s with low juice at Caesars, and then 3.5s at DraftKings and PointsBet. So I hate to shout them all out because they're not paying us. And, they don't pay me shit. So, that being said, though, I want to make sure you guys can see where the right numbers are. And benefit of the show here and checking out these numbers in this line shopping because there is considerable movement. Let's keep it rolling. Next game we're going to talk about on the docket here, the Magic and the Bulls. Line opened at +3. We're at 3.5s now. 69% of the bets and 68% of the cash on the Magic, and it's moved up about 0.5 point. The total itself, 218.5 down to 215.5s and 214.5s. 34% of the bets on the under and 79% of the cash on the under in this Magic Bulls game. LJ, I don't have anything on this game, but turn it over to you, my guy.
Hey, I don't have anything either. I think the Bulls are about to implode. They're probably going to trade a couple of players. I just think those guys are just there just to get their checks. As far as Orlando, I like Orlando. I've been cashing their first quarters, but I prefer to have them at home. They're on the road, right? I prefer to have them at home, to bet Orlando. So I just completely stayed away from this game. I didn't dive at all in this game.
Yeah, was it Levine that gave the option now to go out there and seek a trade too? Players only meeting game number 1, maybe some minor rebounds or come back after that. And now the pieces are starting to fall apart. So it's not if, it's when at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
We might be seeing it here. We might be 2 or 3 games away from saying, yeah, they fell apart entirely. So let's move on. We'll cover this next game then, keeping it moving for you guys. Want to get through this entire slate and give you guys some time to get back to the windows as well. The Nuggets, Pelicans, big spot here with this game tonight. For me, I was looking at this thing here and couple thoughts I had on the game, but I ultimately ended up moving on some props here. Nuggets -1, now -4.5. 54% of the bets, 41% of the cash on the Nuggets. The total opened at 220.5, now 225.5 out there. 67% of the bets and 26% of the cash on the over. And we're seeing the sharper money now starting to jump in on this under. And for me, it was just a straight play for Aaron Gordon. I took his rebounds. I got 8+ rebounds, +140 earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ton of minutes. He's averaging, he's getting out there. He's averaging 10+ rebounds in spots like this tonight here. He's earned 12 rebounds when they played 11 days ago. That's a 12 spot for this guy. And he's gone over this teased up number of 8 or more rebounds the 5 games prior to that Clippers game the other day. So this is another one of those spots where you're taking a guy whose average for me is out there and he's shown he can get the job done. Oh, and by the way, the Pelicans allow the 4th most rebounds in the NBA. I liked it at +140. Gordon 8+. The over 6.5 is -130. If you wanted to try to go back and try to be, play safe around it, 6.5 can't be mad at anybody for that. But the 8+ for me at +140 was the spot I jumped on. So LJ, what do you got?
Yeah, I like that, but I went his counterpart. I jumped on Jokic's rebounds as well, over 12.5 rebounds. I got it at -106. This guy's averaging 13.5 rebounds per game right now, and he's averaging 15 rebounds over the 3 games versus the Pelicans that he's played. So he plays well versus the team, and we already know the production that he has to have because Jamal Murray's out. So he has to assist, he has to score, and he has to rebound. So I think Jokic is going to be primed to have a great game tonight. And the fact that New Orleans does not have a point guard puts me in the fact that they are in trouble, man. I mean, they rely a lot on Zion to score for them, but nobody distributes the ball. A lot of these guys are bringing up the ball up the court. They're turning the ball over. They're just in disarray because they don't have an official point guard that can control that offense and put people in the right position. So until that happens, I think New Orleans is just a complete fade. Don't even look at them. But the champions are coming in tonight on probably on a little revenge spot because they won the last game, but they had to come back and win that game. The Pelicans played them well that last game, but the fact that the Pelicans won the first quarter and the first half that last game, I'm going to jump on Denver first quarter -1.5 because I believe that they're going to remember that they started off slow versus this team the last time that they played. So they're going to make a statement, come out in that first quarter and jump on them quick. And I think Jokic will have a great game. So I took his rebounds over 12.5, -106. And we're going to jump on the Nuggets first quarter, -1.5.
Perfect. Yeah, guys, we're running up against it here, but we know I don't normally cover all the games here, but again, a big spot tonight for the NBA and of course our guy LJ. I know a bunch of you guys in the chat earlier today on the Betting with Bouquet show going, "Where's LJ? Where's LJ?" Well, I got him here, damn it! I got him tonight. So let's maximize the time, and I appreciate all his insight and wisdom here. So now we're going to give you guys we'll talk about all of them for you guys here, but we might not have spots on all of them. But next game on the docket for us, we're going to look at is the Suns and Jazz game right now. The Suns and the Jazz. As far as the numbers are concerned right now, the Suns opened up at -2.5. It's moved to -5.5. 80% of the bets and 74% of the cash on the Suns. The total, 235.5, has moved to 238 with 53% of the bets and 78% of the cash on the over. LJ, take it away.
Yes, sir. I jumped on 2 plays in this game. I like the Suns, and the fact that Booker is in that lineup, we can trust that the Suns are going to be a bet-on team. We see that Bradley Beal is still dealing with that back, so he's going to be out the lineup for a couple of weeks. But I think if Booker and Kevin Durant is in that lineup, I believe the Suns will be bet on. I was looking at the first half. Both of these teams put up a lot of points in the first half, so I kind of stayed off of it. I was looking at a 120 team total over, but the Sharps got it right there at 120. So I'm going to stay off of that. But I am going to take the Suns team total over 121. And the reason why I'm doing that is because Utah, taking out the Portland game, they allowed 127 points to the last 4 teams. So they're giving up a lot of points. The Suns can score. And I'm jumping on Nurkic, over 3.5 assists, -134, because he's hit this number 7 out of his last 8 games. And the fact that they do screen and rolls off of Nurkic, I believe that he's going to have those opportunities to get some assists, especially with Booker back in that lineup, because you can pencil in Booker for 30. I'm not going to take it, but I'm pretty sure he's going to go for 30 tonight. Durant could get you 28, and I believe that Nurkic will be part of those assists for those players to score. So those are my 2 plays in this game.
Nice. Yeah, so that's the third leg for me in the parlay as well there. When like you said, with the Booker factor and KD out there. 3 legs for me, the Celtics, the Kings, and the Suns at +148. I didn't want to mess around with the spreads. I just wanted to bundle them together. I know we take the risk when we put the 3 together, but I thought it was a nice plus money spot for what I think are 3 teams that are motivated. So it looks like we're both kind of thinking the same thing around how this game's going to go. And Dan Kelly said, Booker is that good. Yeah, there's no doubt about it, guys. But when he plays, he's playing a lot of minutes and he's putting up 30 or more points. So love those spots from Booker. And I think it's a great spot for the Suns to smash. The Jazz, not the best season, not off to the greatest start. Made some money on them the other night, but that was against, I believe, the Timberwolves. And this Suns team is entirely different. They got their eye on the prize, and they're going to probably slap them right in the mouth. So next game we'll talk about for you guys. We got 2 left here. We're going to cover this Lakers spot. Then we're going to talk about the Astros. LJ with Houston to me. I'm going back to baseball here, but we'll talk about that Rockets too. So LA Lakers taking on the Portland Trailblazers. And what we have here is the number open at -3.5. We're seeing 7.5s out there now. 56% of the bets, but only 28% of the cash on that Lakers 4-point movement out there. It kind of tells me when you look at this line that LeBron's available, AD's available. The total itself moved to 221.5, or it was 221.5. Now we're seeing 224.5, all the way up to 226.5. 52% of the bets, but only 39% of the cash on that over. And we saw a couple of points of movement there as well. So LJ, take it away.
Yeah, I didn't really want to mess with a side on this team. Both these teams, they're at the bottom of the league in first quarter, first half scoring. But the Lakers should take care of business because they are the better team. They have the better athletes. But I wasn't interested in taking a side anything. I'm just going to take what has been consistently cashing with Anthony Davis. I'm going to take his over 2.5 blocks. It's at -126. This guy has had 3+ blocks in 8 out of his last 10 games. I mean, he's just a monster in the front paint. So when he's healthy, he's efficient. So the fact that he's going to play tonight, Portland gives up the most blocks in the league. I believe the last 3 centers that they played has had 3+ blocks. So I believe Anthony Davis will get that 3+ blocks. And I also parlayed it with Wembley over 1.5 blocks because Wembley has hit this 7 out of his last 10 games. And that puts me at a +197 parlay block for Anthony Davis 3+, Wembley over 1.5 blocks as well. Now we go to the other side with Portland. I have Sharp rebounds over 4.5 -137 because he's had 5+ rebounds in 9 out of his last 11 games. Those two props I've been cashing on all year so far, so I'm not going to step off. I just want to make sure that let y'all know these are some things that I invest in personally. Anthony Davis blocks. I think his name's Shelton Sharp. His first name for Portland, I'm not sure, but the Sharp is his last name. Rebounds over 4.5, -137 because he's hit it 9 out of his last 11 games.
I love it. Doesn't matter what his name is as long as he's cashing. Right?
Right?
It's Sharp. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a Sharp play. So I believe is it Sheldon Sharp?
I don't know. I would have to fact check it, but I believe it is Sheldon Sharp. Yes, it is Sheldon Sharp.
So I heard your AD look, and I was kind of on the same elk here with AD. As much as it's hard to factor in when this guy's going to show up or not, the one consistent routine we see is he sucks, he doesn't try. The media crushes his ass about it, and then he comes back and he puts up a performance. So, we just had that situation happen the other day. He has gone for over 30 points, or he had 30 points against Portland the last time they played on Sunday with 13 rebounds. I like his point spot here tonight. Anthony Davis over 24.5 points, a +100, even money spot. And if you wanted to ladder that thing up, 30 plus points at +240, seems like that's a good spot out there too. Just thinking, again, it's the spot where we're seeing the totals start to creep up. If someone's going to show up, it's probably got to be him tonight because he just did have that kind of miserable game. I mean, it is what it is, but LeBron went out there and put up a triple-double. So, you can't let LeBron go. LeBron, when he comes back to the bench and he stares you down, gives you all, he doesn't even need to talk to know you better put your ass in gear that next game. And I think that's the look here. So it's a lean for me. I haven't gotten there yet. It's a late night game. I'm going to have to look at these props that LJ put out there. It sounds to me like it's going to be a nice beefy same game parlay. So let's bring it home with this last game here. We've got the Houston Rockets, the LA Clippers, the James Harden Clippers, if you will, out there now. And this total started to line at 6.5. We're seeing 7s and 7.5s out there. 67% of the bets, 64% of the cash on the Rockets. And then we look at the total. 222.5 is the number that it opened at. 218.5 out there. 82% of the bets and 69% of the cash on this over. LJ, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, my thoughts is that I've been cashing with my Rockets first half. Londo say easy money, but I can't do it on the road. Not just yet, Londo. Those games have been at home. They played like 6 straight home games, and this is their only second road game of the year. And it's versus the Clippers, who have been struggling. So I don't know how the Clippers are going to respond. They're still trying to get their roster incorrect. I think Russell Westbrook is now going to come off the bench. Yep. So it's a lot of, moving parts in that roster. So I just want to sit back and watch the Rockets, how they respond on the road, considering they were on that long home stretch. But I do have a couple of props in this game as well. I'm going to take my guy Sagoon over 30.5 PRA. I believe it's at -104. He's had 19, 8, and 6, averaging 33 PRA his last 5 games. So I believe that he will be able to get that 30.5. The offense does run through him. He gets a lot of usage. He gets a lot of rebounds, and he passes as well. So I believe that the ball is going to be fluctuating through him a lot. And on the other side, we're going to take Paul George, 2+ steals, -126, because he's had 2+ steals in 8 out of his last 10 games. The guy's a stealing machine. So that's just something that I've been taking, all year. And another look in this game, the Clippers, when they come out of halftime in the third quarter at home, they're number 1 in point margin third quarter. Going back to last year, 92-76, +16 point margin this year at home coming into that third quarter. So if you're watching this game live, I recommend take the Clippers third quarter spread. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about the winning the game. Nothing else matters in this Clippers game. But at home, third quarter, just something to pay attention to throughout the season. So, but for us, those are my 2 props in this game, and I will be betting that live third quarter watching the game.
I'm going to keep my eyes on that one too here. And look, for me, I went. Maybe it's oversimplifying this thing here. Maybe I'm not thinking about it enough. I got the 7.5 now as the current number. You see the 8 was out there. It's now moved to 7.5. I took the Rockets.
Okay.
Look, James Harden, they just haven't won. I know that's probably beaten like a drum at this point. But I think the Rockets are a feisty team. When you take a feisty team that's kind of got some youth and some veteran combination and you put them on the road, I think good things happen to that chemistry. So they've had some time. They had extended time to get ready for this game as well. And, look at who they've beaten. They've gone out there. They're 6-3. They're fourth in the Western Conference. They beat the Nuggets, they beat the Pelicans, and they beat the Lakers. So this number doesn't seem right to me whatsoever. To see that many points, with a team in either somebody knows something, and I'm falling into the trap, which is probably my famous last words for the show. Yeah. But I'm also looking at this thing, LJ. I might be a little crazy here, but why not take a stab at the money line for Houston as well at plus 240? I mean, the Clippers haven't won. They haven't won since Harden's been on the team. You nailed it with that conversation about Westbrook deciding to change it around and come off the bench. They don't know who they are right now and what they have to work with. They know they like each other potentially for now until Harden wants to be traded again, but they just don't know how to put it together on the court. So official play for me is the 7.5. I certainly would lean to that Houston money line as the cocktails get flying, as the wins are coming in. You may very well see me jump on that plus 240 out there. So
I may well too, because I'm gonna be watching it live, and if I see something I like, I'm gonna jump right in with you, my guy.
Got to go out there and get it done, right? So then, and then I'll just recap it for me with the Celtics Kings Sun spot there. Look, as far as tournament play here, the Sacramento Kings are in first place in the Pacific Division. They're undefeated in group play. They're going to put it down. I think they want to come out of this thing on top of the division. And the Celtics win this game. They've got an easy route to go undefeated in that East C group out there. And I think that means a difference as well. So, opportunities for both those teams to get it done. And we talked earlier about the Suns and why they make a lot of sense as well. So I three-leg that thing for a plus 148 here. We're using the tournament factors, which is exciting because, traditionally it seems like the NBA didn't really matter until like Christmas time. And so, now we've got some fun things to talk about. I think the courts are cool. I know a lot of guys are kind of back and forth about it, but I like anything that spikes up the game, gets more interest in it, gets our eyes on it a little bit more as well. So that's the plays. LJ, you want to give them a recap and then tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, man. Recap. I'm going to just go down the list. We got Sacramento minus 2.5 first quarter. I also have Denver minus 1.5 first quarter. We got the Celtics minus 2 first quarter. I got the Knicks minus 2 first quarter. So all first quarter spots for me. And for as props, we're on Julius Randle over 4.5 assists. And we on Wembley 2+ blocks. And we on Anthony Davis parlay 3+ blocks. So those are my plays for tonight. I love capping with you, Mike. Fridays are one of the best nights for me personally to bet NBA. I do a lot of volume on Fridays. I love the fact that we can go into this weekend, look for some money, and get some cash, my guy. So thanks for letting me join you, and let's do it again soon.
Sounds good, my guy. Appreciate you. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you get to that cash. And again, it means a lot for you to come on, take your personal time here to share your looks and your leans as well. And I'm excited, man. I think it's a lot of good things to come. I'm looking forward to working with you on the last call, and I'm happy to hear that Fridays work for you. So let's keep it going. Let's keep getting that cash, man. And hopefully you get to the window nice and big tonight, LJ. Thanks for the time, and I hope you have a weekend, my brother.
Hey, appreciate you, my guy. See you soon.
There goes our guy, LJ, and then you'll see Prop Shop. I'm still getting adjusted to the adjustment here at the end. So, T, I appreciate you keeping me on it. I talked about a couple of these already. The Aaron Gordon spot, 8+ rebounds at plus 140. You know what? That number's now dropped. I saw it was plus 120. So they are steaming on that thing. So we're going to use plus 120 as the official number. I like the Anthony Davis over 24.5 points. That's now plus 100. That's now an even money spot as well. We already talked about why that made sense, but just to kind of make them stand out so you guys can see these particular props. I'll give you guys one last rundown. I know we're running long and we're running late. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of things going on tonight, but I thought it was important that we nail down this NBA, maximize the time we had with LJ. I love him coming on. His professionalism, his due diligence, his ability to scrub the numbers and deliver the goods remains paramount in the NBA community. So top of the heap, if you will, with this guy. I like Colorado college football plus 4.5 is an official play for me. I went with the Florida Panthers minus 1.5. I took the under 138.5 in the Wake Forest game. Florida Gulf Coast money line. St. Mary Gals minus 1.5. Cleveland Cavaliers first quarter minus 2.5. First half minus 4.5. The Philadelphia 76ers money line. Boston Celtics first half minus 4.5. I'll tell you what, we're 1/3 of the way through a nasty Nate trifecta there. LJ likes the first quarter. I like the first half, and we both were looking at the full game. I might have to get into that. We'll see what happens. I went Aaron Gordon, 8+ rebounds. That's going to be a plus 120 number. Houston Rockets plus 7.5. You got to look at that money line as well with them Rockets. And then I trifected this parlay, the Celtics, the Kings, and the Suns at plus 145. Shout out to all you guys. That's going to put a bow on week number 4 of Last Call. I appreciate everybody coming in, tuning into the Pub Sports community here. Make sure if you haven't done so already, you hit the thumbs up on the YouTube video. Become a member at Pub Sports Radio. It's $4.99 a month, and it helps us a ton. We're trying to put tons of cash in your guys' pockets. If you're making cash with us, it would be a certain little treat to see a little $4.99 membership your way. We're doing member-only events. We've got more members-only programming coming up as well. You guys have seen what's going on with college or with the NFL. Jimmy the Bag and Jose Bouquet getting it done there with the NFL show as well. So lots of fun, lots of things happening. I hope everybody has a safe, sound, and profitable weekend. Let's get to that cash. Appreciate you all dropping in tonight. Have a great weekend. We be pumping!